because he had 3 little babies. There was 2 girls and a boy. Yeah.
Oh, Nurse Henderson delivered me, and I went all through school with our granddaughter Marion, who you spoke to the other week. Marion and I sat together at school. Yes, Nurse Henderson delivered nearly everybody in Swalwell. She was a marvellous lady, absolutely marvellous, you know.
The only people who were allowed down the waterside, even during the day this was the nurse and the doctor. They were never ever set upon. If anybody else went down there, because it was a pretty rough area, they were set upon. But the nurse, as they used to say, it's only the nurse, and the doctor were allowed to go down, because they knew if the nurse was going down, somebody was having a baby. But there was a lot of the times, you know, that people were pretty poor, they didn't have any money, and they used to have to pay the midwife and the doctor. And she always, if they hadn't the money, they would pay her in kind. But they used to bring, if they had an allotment, they would bring all kinds of fruit and vegetables to pay me granny for bringing her baby. Or the women would bake bread and stotties, and she would get them. She used to get poached rabbits. I've got some documents here belonging to me granny, and I've also got her cuffs that she used to put on. That's me granny's bag. That used to go all over the place with her. She had all the instruments and things in there. Well, I've also got every one of me granny's registers of birth, right from 1922 through to 52. But I think this is the most interesting one. It's 1929 to 1932. And in here is the birth of triplets. The only triplets she ever delivered to Mrs. Johnson, and it was in December, the 31st of December 1931, when these triplets were born. 2 female and a male.
Looking downstream, straight across used to be a natural island in the middle, because the River Derwent went in 2 directions. This was man-made cut out this side, but the natural flow was on the other side. So that was a playground for families and friends used to come down to Swalwell Sands, because when the tide was out, when the river was low, you could walk across, and the children used to come and make boats and sail across there and sit on the other side and have lots of fun.
I know I used to play in the dam, what we called the dam, and that was opposite where William Shield was born. There was, it was just like the river. I'm not sure. I think it flowed into the River Derwent, and we used to what we called plodge in there. I mean, they were happy memories playing in there. All the kids and and then we used to go over the gardens, the allotments, over to Errington Terrace.
One of my really very earliest memories was when the circus came to Newcastle for Race Week. They used to disembark at Blaydon Station, and then there would be a whole parade coming through Swalwell, which was quite exotic because the elephants would be walking with their trunks interlinked, and you would see the lions and the tigers in the cages, and the clowns would be doing that act. I suppose it was advertisement so that you would go and pay to see them at the moor. And I remember my great aunt and great grandma brought me up, and we used to go to the Cosy cinema, the Cosy Picture Hall, just down the lane from where we live. And I remember when I was about 7 or 8, it was 4 old pence for me to get in. And I used to love going, we used to have 2 houses, but I would go first house with my grandma and come out of there and go to Tinian's fish shop next door. Mr. Tinian was a local man, had this fish shop, and it was lovely. They were really fascinating, these little house shops, you know. When my brother started to work, there were 7 of us at home. And when they had a wee little bit of money and they started to work, on a Sunday afternoon, they always used to send either me or Albert down to this shop to buy, you know, penny wriggly worms and the sherbet dips and things like that.
Now Westview was built by Crowley and it was all stone, and I can remember every inch of that house, but the only thing we had was gas and cold water. We had a midden in the backyard, and it was, I think it was the last street in Swalwell to have middens, and then we went from a house like that up into a brand new house with electric, with hot water. You had a bath. I mean, even in the flat when we first got married, we had a tin bath hanging on the wall because, you know, I mean, you just had nothing.
The co-op was everything in Swalwell at the time, you see. You didn't have to go out of the village. They even had a dentist. They had, you know, pharmacy, dentist, doctors, boot and shoe, fish. They had the whole works. You could go and get measured for a suit, you know. So it was just a thriving, you know, place to live. Exciting place. The churches, all the anniversaries. Everybody took pride, and youth clubs. You know, we just all were one big happy family.
Yes, I worked at the box factory. It used to be the old Swalwell Club. We made boxes for clothing firms on the Team Valley estate, for Midland Bank. They put the money in, hard boxes, you know. Little boxes for screws and brushes and all sorts of things. Mr. G owned it. He was a Jewish fella. It was a good place to work.
I lived in a street called Quality Row. Well, I reckon what my father used to tell us, it belonged to the Hawkeses of Gateshead. They were, I think, foundry owners or something like that. Well, if you look towards Wickham, you'll see a street of houses. That was Jubilee Terrace. It's still there. And Quality Row ran on the other side from the bottom of Railway Street right up on the Clavering Road. And there was Wickham after that. Above Clavering Road, there was new houses, and we used to go up them fields there. Up there, up Ruskin Road, they were all fields. And we used to go up there and play cricket and football and everything like that.
Yeah, along here, next road along, going up towards Wickham, of course, is Ruskin Road. And it was a place where, in the winter time, we used to sledge. We would start from Northview in Wickham, and sledge down Henderson Avenue, across what was known as the Yorkshire Bumps, which has now become a housing estate, down Ruskin Road, across Clavering Road here, across the hopping field, which is now Rosebud Close, and end up at the back end of Swalwell Club and next to the church. So it was a run of about 1 kilometre. It was the greatest place to sledge in this area. In the summertime, of course, when we couldn't sledge, we used to build things called coiners. It was basically a plank of wood in an old orange box with 4 wheels put onto the plank on cross beams. The front ones would revolve on a nut and bolt, and we used to use those for riding down the hills. We used to use them for picking up bags of coal to take home for your mother, and basically anything that you needed to transport stuff, and we could pull it on the coiner. And everybody had them. They were different shapes, different sizes, normally with old pram wheels. But overall, it was just a great little toy to play with, and was used as a vehicle for humping shopping. Of course, to steer it, as I said earlier, the front crossbeam would rotate on a bolt, and we used to have a rope which was tied to the left and right side of the crossbeam, and you could turn it by pulling on either rope, left or right, left to turn left, right to turn right. And then it was also used to tow the coiner behind you when you needed to move anything.
I've been doing allotment for 7 years, and mainly what I get out of it, because when my dad being old and that, it gets the veg for all the family and all that. Keeps me busy, keeps us out of mischief. That's what relaxes us a lot. When I finish work, I come down here, chill out, but mainly keeps you fit and that. You know what I mean? Looking after the chickens and that keeps you busy a lot. But apart from that, just, even if people come past and they need a cabbage or a leek, I always give people stuff, because it stops them pinching stuff. But keeps me busy all the time.
On about like the gardens and that and the greenhouses and whatever. And there used to be a real where the Kirk ovens train used to come down here. And when he shunted, he used to hope he would shunt. Would listen for him bang, the trucks and that, the full trucks. Some of the Kirk used to run off. So over there were barrels, fill it up for the firing for the greenhouses. Kept my fires going, Took it badly when the Kirk walks shut. There used to be a battle over who got there first. But the pigeon clubs, the pigeons are dying now. It's a dying business. It used to be a big thing in the 50s, 60s, 70s. But most of the men's died off now, And for a youngster to come in now, it takes a lot of money. Too much.
He's the top pigeon man because he topped won the Queen's Cup.
Queen's Cup. Won the Queen's Cup in 1996.
And probably 96.
96, beating 23,000 pigeons. And that's from the Humber to the border of Scotland, up to Berwick. It's just like the Grand National or in the Derby, you know what I mean? There's a lot of pigeon men to beat, a lot of pigeons to beat.
A lot of beat, can a few thousand, quite a few thousand.
But the disappointing thing was, I lost it a fortnight later. I should have retired it, but I made a mistake. The pigeon was looking good. And I sent him to London, Stevenage. It was a funny day, It was only one I never got back. I got the rest back, but he didn't come. So that put a damper on things, But other than that, we've done our reading with kids.
Oh, we mightn't win a lot, but we enjoy ourselves.
We enjoy ourselves now.
Further along the road here, is at the end of Clavering Road on Miller's Bridge, there is Swalwell Memories. And every year, both wives, families would go up to Smith's farm and they would pick potatoes for a week. We called it spud bashing. And you got a bucket of potatoes at the end of the day for it, and at the end of the week you normally got about 10 shillings, which was, of course, was a fortune to people those days, especially the kids. And we used to go along to the bottom of the Lonnin, and we would be taking up the Lonnin on a flatbed trailer towed behind the tractor up to the field, which was up near the Hollywoods, the top end of Swalwell Memories. And we would spend a week there picking potatoes or spud bushing.
Where I'm standing now
is that I'm standing on the site of Taylor's Brewery on Brewery Bank, Swalwell. The Taylor family, who lived at the Heritage at Wickham, had their original brewery at this particular site. It's now the site of Swalwell Club Car Park, or ex-Swalwell Club Car Park. And as we look behind me here, is sadly Swalwell Club as it stands today, and it's in a right mess. It's now closed, derelict, and it's burnt out.
I remember when it was built, the old club was on what you call Brewery Bank at Swalwell, and they built a new club at Swalwell in 1939. And I can remember it being built, but I wasn't a member then, mind. I would be, 12 or 14 years old then, mind.
But Swalwell Club was the first club in the area to have, it was on television, it had what you called a Polynesian room. It was redone, and it was all like Hawaii and palm trees and everything, and it was wonderful. And then they also had a jukebox end, so I can tell you it was, very well used, both ends.
Oh well, when you went in, it was all green and what do you call it? Aye, and you wouldn't get another world altogether, like sitting in Honolulu, and among all the, was marvellous, all the cane seating and all the likes of that. Instead of having windows, they were like photographs, as if you were looking out of a window. Yeah. But I can remember Frank Brennan giving a song in there, the Newcastle footballer.
The club had a dance, which was one of the first places to have a dance around the area, but that was in the 60s. But it was a huge success, twice a week, Mondays and Fridays. But other than that, it was, billiards and reading room, lounges to sit in, turns on a Saturday and Sunday. Just a nice place for everyone to go and mix, of all ages. All ages went in, So every place like that was expected to have a fruit machine. But it was at first just started with the, 3 cherries or 3 strawberries or something, And then later on, of course, it advanced into these machines that I don't think anybody can understand. The leek show was a huge affair. And as I say, my father was treasurer for 42 years, very well thought of. Yes, it was a huge affair, and they used to have gifts. But there again, the cooperative played a big part, because all the gifts was bought from the co-op. But if you didn't like the one you got, you could change it, you see, you could take it back and exchange it. But there was such pride in everything that everybody